Hello and welcome back. So what we'll be building today is obviously this dashboard, as you're saying it. We want to create a kind of a very responsive layout, something that works both on small devices as well as a desktop and so on. Right. So this is something that we've is already been built. It's already linked with endpoints and so on. And I hope you guys, basically like this part of it. So here we basically have the overview layout, and then I can actually scroll the children element. You can see the toolbar is very solid. The sidebar is static, right? So the toolbar is actually fixed on top. And then we can be able to play around with all of these tables, by the way. So you can copy the ID and play around with them. And also we can be able to search by the name. It just straightforward. I'll show you how you can do that with the Shadcn data table. And then we can be able to create a contest. You put in all your stuff. I'm not going to create for this, but then you can actually do anything that you want. Do it, send like some sort of end date, and I'm not going to upload. You can see that all fields are required. You have to upload something. So let's go just pick an image and open that. So it's going to start uploading. It's going to tell you to wait. And when it's done, it's going to pop up like a successful thing alongside the size of the image and so on. But now, in order to show you how the other part of the validation works, I'm just going to click on here and click if put his one to assistant, for example. You can see that this upload is already successful right here, and it's actually 28180 KB. All right, so that's the size of it. And now I can just click, so you can see end date was greater than start date. So because we have the start date 19 and it, so all the validations are working as expected. And I'm just going to show you guys how each of these works. And I'm actually leveraging React query to fetch data. So that's why immediately I switch tabs, I go to dashboard, come back to contest. We don't fetch the endpoint. The endpoint is not it the second time because we already have like a cached value of it. But when you refresh, it's going to fetch it, afresh. You can see this preloaders there, right? It's fetching the endpoint again to get the newest data, right? So yeah, I think this is something we'll be building, and you check it out on the mobile version, so you can see how cool this looks, right? So this is actually an actual dashboard. When I click on here, you can see the sidebar coming in as expected. So there's the sidebar right there. Let me hide this for so that's the sidebar right there. We can actually we hook it up to a click outside event. That way, whenever we click outside, it's going to close, right? So go in here, you click inside, nothing happens. But if you click outside, it closes, right? So yeah, this is something very important, and it's very responsive for all of the pages. You can go to contest, and I click outside. You can see this is already responsive. Yeah, so I think this is actually a very cool thing for those wanting uh, to build a dashboard layout from scratch. Yeah, so let's just get started. All right, and welcome back. So what we're doing today is a bit different, right? So today we want to actually explore more on, on the Fullstack kind of app. And the issue with this is the fact that I've noticed that many a time we have a kind of setup that doesn't work well, right? I've seen cases where we just consume listing endpoints, and we don't cache this particular endpoints, right? So, and this kind of allow the app to make requests to this specific endpoint every now and then, which is not a good thing. So there should be some level of caching at the top level to all endpoints that you're consuming, right? So this is something I'll be going over, and I hope you guys basically enjoyed it. So what we'll actually be using here is the Tanstack React query, by the way. All right, so React query right here. Not like this, but yeah, I think this is actually a very great article if you want to start out, right? You can actually just read through this article. I think she basically just explained how you can set React query up and stuff like that. But then what I wanted to show you guys is React query docs. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go, right here. All right. So this is something that we will be focusing on, right? So you can actually go through the docs and then you do the setup and so on. But it's just very basic, at the top level. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys how we're setting it up and how we can actually build out an actual dashboard from it. So now we want to start by basically installing React Query, and the way you go about that is by doing, if you're using npm or yarn, depends on the one you're using, and you're just going to do something like this: npm star as. Okay, let's get the actual name from here. You can see installation. You can click on here, and it's going to take you to the installation tab right here. So yeah, this is what you need. If you're using npm, if you're using yarn, do this. If you're using Bun, you do this. Right, so this is what we're interested in. You can just copy that right away, and then you can actually paste it in your terminal somewhere. Right. Let's go back to terminal, so you can just let's clear that out. Yeah, you can do this. I already installed it, so I will not bother installing it again. Alright, so basically this is exactly how you go about it. Once you have that installed, the very next thing you want to do is to create a provider. If you don't have this folder, you might want to create it. And in this provider, we want to create a new file, and that will be React Query Provider. And what this will be is very basic, right? So we just need a wrapper, around the children, and everything within it will have access to the React query itself, right? To the query client. So this is how we're going. This is basically how we're using it. And if you go through this article as well, it's particularly straightforward. I'm just going to go there and show you guys. All right, so this is actually the setup. You can see of the React query provider, and then we have the query client, right? So this makes it, available in every part of your application where you want to obviously use the query, right? So yeah, you can see we already have this defined, which is cool. And the next thing is we need to make sure that this is actually in the layout.tsx. You go to your app, go to your layout.tsx, and you can see we're wrapping the entire thing, around, we're using React Query Provider to wrap around the entire thing. So you can see we have the children, we have the load indicator, we have the toaster. This is cool, right? So, and also, I think we have this metadata. Yeah, it should be exportable, so it doesn't look as if it's not used. Export. Alright, so nice. So this is something that is cool already. And as you can see right here, you can see what we're doing, right? So we're wrapping it around it, which is actually this other step that we're doing. And this makes it available to any layout, any of the child pages you basically pass it to. Alright, so the next thing will be we're trying to access it before we make an actual API call, right? So yeah, so you can see from here, you can just import use query from React, React query and so on, and you get it up and running. So this is cool. It's very basic. You guys can actually go check it out. I think she did a very good job explaining it. And that's exactly how it goes. Once you have this, once you've created your provider, you wrap it around your body, you should be good to go. You can use React query anywhere. And also, if you want to start consuming endpoint, you should have at the top level, some kind of services, right? And we already have one here, so I'm just going to go through it. Okay, let's close it out. We have external, I think. There's API handler. So here, I'm using this little function class to basically manage every aspect of of the API. So here we're using Axios under the hood, and then we have access to the get, so the post, put, as well as delete, right? So you can also upload as well, but then we're using different Axios interceptor or Axios client for that. So here we have it at the base level. This is the base URL we'll be using. This is obviously the backend URL that you want to be consuming, and then you have to create an Axios client. So you can do this by using the .create command, and you want to pass in a couple of things in your headers. So if you want it to be normal JSON format as content type, you pass this in. It's very important. And if you want it to be, you want to upload something or something related, you want to do something there, I'm just going to put this here so you know that there's a difference. So this is what you want to upload. Probably want to upload a file. Ideally, upload endpoint basically take the content type or form data. So that's why you're seeing this kind of content type different from this. This is just normal JSON, right? You're making a get, a put, or whatever. You can just use this. But when you are uploading an actual file, you want to use the form data. So we'll be using it in the later part of this lesson, and we'll just go through it like that. So the next thing is we want to be able to set up our Axios interceptor, right? So now there are cases where we want to basically like check, before we make the request, we want to check if there's a token in the storage. The storage can actually be your local storage or your cookie. It depends on how you're saving it. But for now, we're actually using cookie to save our token. So what we're doing here, you can see we already, first of all, we are setting up the interceptor. So making any request, we want to use this middleware. This is actually a very basic middleware that we're using. And what we're doing is that we're checking if the token exists in the storage, right? So if there's a token, we want to add it as part of the authorization header, as a bearer token. Simple, right? And do not forget, return your request. Every middleware basically has to return something, right? So it's very important you take note of that. So if there's an error, we want to reject the error and return that. Good. So this is how we're using to set up for the Axios client. As you notice, this is only pointing to the application JSON, right? So the other one will be the upload part, right? So the upload one is different because the content type is pointing to the form data. So we can scroll down here. We do something similar, but you can notice that the name is the only thing that changes, basically, right? So we need to expose this to the class, right? So this Axios is equal to. So meanwhile, we've already stated this here as read-only fields. So we have both the Axios client and the Axios upload client as read-only, fields, right? Nice. All right, so we have the base URL exposed as well. That should be here too. Great. All right. So the next thing is we have to define our get. This basically applies to every HTTP method that we intend to target. You can name this anything, by the way. It's just function name. And yeah, we have the get, we have the put, we have the post, we have a post upload, and then we have the delete, right? So you could as well, pass in types to this if you want to by using generics, right? So that's completely fine. I'll show you how we do that later on. Okay, so what we're doing here, we're wrapping this in the promise, and then we're communicating using the Axios client to basically get the endpoint that's been passed in, and then we'll resolve the response, right? So if there's an error, we just do this, right? Straightforward. The same thing applies for put, right? So it's just put there, then you're taking the data, could be anything, actually. And the next thing is post, it's the same thing, right? Taking the data, that could be anything as well. Post upload, this is different. So we're using the Axios upload client, which is actually having a content type of form data, and then we're passing it in as expected. All right, so we have the delete. So this will actually just remove an entry from the database, so to speak, right? So yeah, you're passing the results, which is obviously the base URL and whatever, and then you just resolve it, and then it should be good to go. So now we have all of this set up, which is very cool, but now it's time to actually do the actual consumption, right? So I'm going to log in. I already set it up, by the way, so let me okay. All right, so yeah, it's complaining about this metadata. That's so we can take it off, not a problem. Okay, so let's refresh this again. All right, so we're just going to log in right away, and right, so application. You can see we're saving this in our cookie, by the way. So cookies, you see here, then we have a token right there. Nice. It's going to expire, I think, a day or so, right? You could make it shorter if you want to, if you're building like fintech app or something related. So that's cool. So right, so this already works well in the mobile version. So this is actually the other part of this lesson, right? But I think before I go into showing you how you can wrap your API handler with use query hook or whatever, so I want to first of all show you how you can build out a dashboard that is very responsive, how to build this up from scratch, to basically show you guys how this works, right? So this basically has different pages, context, description, dashboard. So some of them are still like work in progress, but yeah, I think you get the point. So now if I minimize this, you can see everything is responsive and we have access to the sidebar. So I've actually noticed time and time, without number, that there's actually a big pain point for for front-end guys when they want to build out an actual dashboard. It's something they feel as if it's difficult, right? And if you can notice, immediately I open this up, there's actually a click outside handler. When you click outside of this particular area, it closes up, right? So when you click inside, it doesn't close, right? But when you click outside, it closes, right? So this is something that I think is very important that we build, and yeah, this is something that I'll be going across right today. So first of all, when you build a dashboard, the first place you target is obviously you should have a route, dashboard, and then there's a layout, right? So in this layout, we're going to worry about most of the things that we have here, right? So I'm going to just try to minimize so it's easier for you guys. Okay, good. So this is the entire dashboard layout, and as you can see in the dashboard we have the links. So the links basically have a route that they are pointing to, as well as the name of the link. So this is dashboard, it's pointing to dashboard. This is users, it's pointing to dashboard/users. This is contest, pointing to dashboard/contest, and so on. Nice. So now we can actually iterate over these links later. Probably if you want like an extra link, we can just add it here, right? And that is going to also increment. So let's say another link, right? So you're going to have it, right? So another link, right? So we have that specific icons with them. So that's why you're not seeing the icon. But if I call it subscription, you're going to have like an icon attached to it, by the way. Nice. So this is exactly how you go about it, adding new links without much overhead. And I feel it's cool. It's cool, right? So, and now we have a kind of a tree structure. I'm just going to show you guys that. So now this is the tree structure we're having. We have it like this, and we have a couple of sides, right? So we have the sidebar, which is here, right? And then we have a toolbar, which is everything here. And then we have the actual content. I'm going to change the color real quick. This is this. Okay, so we have the actual content, which is here. Nice. So that means what this tells you is that we basically have a layout, right? So we have the sidebar, we have the top bar, we have the children, right? So you could actually put this is the home page. Home page is actually a child of this particular layout. So yeah, so this is actually the structure, and for you to keep this responsive, you have to think about the structure this way, right? So with this structure, you can be able to shrink it in small devices, kind of break it down into some sort of hamburger icon and so on, right? So yeah, this is something that we are doing. So when you minimize this, we're just going to show you guys how this look on a very small device. So this is actually a very small device. If I click on here, boom, very responsive. This is actually a very responsive dashboard interface. You can go to contest. Nice, right? So this is something I think it's very cool. When you're building it out, it should, you want to take note of all of those edge cases. And if you notice, if we hover it, the color changes as well as the color of the icon, right? The color of the text and the color of the icon becomes brighter, right? All right, so the way we are doing this is we're just leveraging the SVGs. So I'm going to show you. Let's start from the sidebar, which is this, right? Let's go there. Let's open it wide. All right, so first off, we have the logo here, which is here, and on a mobile side, we want to be able to have some some hamburger thing with the X, right? right? So if the sidebar is open, make it X. If it is not, make it a menu. So this is the actual sidebar. This is where we are starting from. And if you notice, we are wrapping this with a ref, right? And what this means is that we could, be able to attach the click outside hook with it. So if you notice, we have use click outside here. It's a custom hook I already added. So what it has is just basically straightforward. So hook that detects clicks outside of the specified event. So what we're doing here, it's very straightforward, right? So we have a ref and we basically have a use effect setup. We're passing an handler, right? So handler now is obviously the ref that we are passing in, if you remember that, right? So we're using a document to basically set some listener, right? So we're focusing more on the mouse down and touch start handler, right? And now we're just doing some cleanups. So when you mouse down and when you touch start it, we're going to call this function, this basic function that we're having here, right? So first I want to check if there is a ref, right? And if the ref basically contains the target node, right? So if it does not, we want to just bounce out of the function. We don't want to do anything. But if it is, we want to basically wrap the ref around, the particular event that we want, right? So mouse down basically gives us some mouse down event, and then we pass it into the handler, into the particular ref. The same thing with touch start, we pass it into the handler, and then we can be able to process it further. This is actually very basic at the top level, and I think it's understandable. So here we are putting the sidebar, we have a ref assigned to it. And then on the ref, just going to close this out. So now we have the logo, which we're having here. And the next thing that we're having is the links. You can see this is where we're actually, looping through the entire thing. And not just looping, we're looping through it, and at the same time, we're basically rendering it, right? So what we're doing here, we're using a custom link component. It's taking in the current path, the route, and the name. So I've already created this custom link component right down here. It takes in these props, excuse me. All right, so it takes in these props, and in these props, you can actually play around with, how it works, like so. All right, so yeah, so each of them is actually linking somewhere. So we're wrapping everything in the link, and then we're passing the route in there. And notice how we're using a group. We're using group to know that, okay, when you hover over this parent component, we want to make some adjustment to the child, right? So this is how we're going about it. Okay, so I think we can continue. And we're using a group here, as I said earlier, because we can use this to, control the overstate. So when you over the child, when you over the parent, we want to be able to do some manipulation to the child element, which could be, you want to make the color a little bit whiter, as well as the icon, right? So you can use a group alongside a group over to be able to control that kind of behavior, right? So you can see we have fill white and so on. So this put anything here basically. Let's do fill red 500. So let's do that. I think it's going to work for either one of them. I think for the user. So when I override, you can see that we have the fill or the SVG child, being turned to red, right? So how that makes sense, right? So group and group over are very, cool things for you to be able to maintain the interaction between the actual parent and then the different children that depends on it. And meanwhile, for you to work with something like this, the group needs to be at the outer scope, right? While the group over can be used within it, right? So I hope that makes sense, right? Okay, so nice. So this is the way you go about it, and then we'll control how the part looks like so. And the next thing is we do the same thing for for contest, we do the same thing for subscription, we do the same thing for users and dashboard, right? So the next thing is we want to be able to render the name, and we want to be able to control the text, right? So when you have this, you want to be able to change the text to white. So that means when you override the parent, we want this text to be white and not red. So if we do red here, let's do red 500, you're going to see that the text, when I override the text, is going to change to red. Yeah, can you see that? Right. So yeah, so this is exactly how you control those kind of behavior. Those are like little details that I feel you have to pay attention to for you to have that perfect design. Okay, so yeah, so the next part is I think I basically explained how the layout should work. So I've explained the sidebar, which is cool. The next thing would be, let's get into like the actual content, main content. So if you notice the way we are setting this up, I'm just going to minimize that for you. So we have the mobile header, we have the sidebar, we have the main content. That's all you need, right? So that's all that that is needed. So within this main content, when I say main content, I'm referring to this side of things as the main content. Everything here is actually the main content, right? Which is a combination of the top bar, as you can see here. Let's put that real quick so I can show you how that looks. Yeah, so we have a combination of the top bar right here, as well as everything here. Everything here. Right, there's the and everything here, right? So everything here as well as the top bar right here. So this top bar, and then we have the content, right? So everything we group it as the main content. Great. Okay, so let's focus on how we are positioning the entire thing. So we have the toolbar. The toolbar basically has this very small component that has line notification and then the user avatar. And then we have to pass in the children. Notice we're making this a layout, and every layout takes in a React node, which is the children. And in this case, I'll just call them a child. So we're just passing in a single child component, which is nice, right? Which is nice. And now, this is the interesting part. How are we able to maintain the responsiveness of this entire flow? So now think about it this way. Once we have this, right? Now we have this sidebar. What we are doing is we are looking into it, right? So if it is a small device, right? So we're doing some translate X here, right? So we're removing it entirely. So if it's a medium, we do translate as 0, and then we transform. No, that's not the part I wanted to show you, this part. So now when the sidebar is open, we translate it, right, to x0, and when it is not open, we basically do a negative translate. So don't allow this to intimidate you, but the point of this is we're just going to go in here like this, right? So if you click on this, sidebar is going to open and it's going to translate, translate X in, right? And once you close it, come in real quick, one moment, right? So yeah, but when you open it up, it's going to do a negative translate. So that means when I close it now, when I close it by clicking outside or clicking on this X icon, it's just going to go off of the screen, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of how it should work. And okay, so let's go over here again. And the other thing, if I take off this behavior, let me take that off like so. I'm gonna take everything here, just take it off so you guys can better visualize it. So yeah, this is me taking it off. Like as you can see, nothing works, everything is broken because we're not able to translate this or take this out of the view and being able to take it back in, right? For us to be able to achieve that, we have to leverage this particular thing, right? So translate x0 will make sure that, okay, you bring it into the view and it's just going to be in there, basically, right? But then once you minus translate x full, that means you're just taking it out of the view, right? So that's why you have in, out, right? So in here, out. That makes sense, right? So it's pretty straightforward. And that is good, right? So that is how we are able to manipulate our sidebar. But the content on the other end, you can notice that when we are on a small device, we no longer have um, the notification bell as well as the avatar, right? So we no longer have those, right? That is because we have a class here. It's hidden on small devices, but on medium, we show it as block. Nice, right? And then we pass in the children. And also, there's something important we are doing here. In this child component, we are making sure we set the height to be like this. It's not a mistake. These are not random values. I'm going to show you how you can calculate this. It's very straightforward. So what we're going to do, we're going to open it up. And as you can see, everything here is actually scrollable within the child component, and the header is actually sticky. How are we able to achieve this? Very easy. So what you first thing you do, you just select this, you inspect it like so. You want to click on this little icon here. I think they call it the element selector. So you click on it, and then you hover over your navigation, right? So this toolbar. So as you can see from the little popover we're having, this toolbar is of width 1643.73 in width, and the height is 64. So that means we know the height of this toolbar, right? Then we can be able to manipulate it. We know that from here, so I'm just going to draw this quickly. Okay, draw it here like so, and we're going to use one of these. We know that here to here, right, is 100 view width, right? So everything here from the beginning to this part is the 100 view height, so to speak. So everything here is 100 view height, right? That's good. That's easily established. But now we want to be able to know the distance between here, the toolbar, right, here to here, right? So here to here we've already checked, and it's just 64 pixel. So that's a 64 pixel, which is nice. That means for us to be able to know the distance between here, from here, let me change the color real quick. Let's use a purple, something bright. For us to be able to know from here to here, let's use this, starting from here to the very bottom like so. We just need to do some subtraction. So once you remove this 64 from 100 view height, and the way we do this in normal CSS would just be, we'll leverage the calc, right? So the calc calculation function could actually take something like this, and it could just do 100 view height, then minus 64 pixel, right? Boom. And then we have the height from here to here in a responsive manner, right? So you don't need to add code it or do any of those crazy stuff. But then you could just calculate the toolbar and then subtract it from the entire 100 view height, right? I hope that makes sense, right? So yeah, this is how we are able to close this out real quick. This is how we are able to come to this conclusion. So now this is the height, right? So the height now is equal to this 100 view height minus 64 pixel. This is very responsive, right? Very responsive. So what will happen is if I minimize this, you can see everything still works as expected, nothing, right? So everything works. But if I take this off right now, okay, if I take this off and I take that off, right? So we're going to have something like this. So now everything is scrolling. So both the navigation, right, and the full page, everything is now scrolling. Everything is completely broken. So here you can see the navigation is scrolling, and then we have some extra shady thing going on at the bottom. So you can see that. So everything is broken. So we need to be able to put this in here to be able to control that behavior. So overflow Y auto make it to just scroll when the content basically exceeds this height. Bring it to auto scroll on the Y axis. Okay, that's what we're having here. Makes sense, right? So this is actually the basic, simple explanation of how you can go about building an actual dashboard. And I hope you guys are able to get this so far. So we want to go into the context. So I've built this out yesterday. And what I'm going to do though is there's actually a context page. I'm going to show you guys that. But before that again, let's show you how you use query. Okay, so now we have a query set up right here. You can see this is how you use query. We are importing this use query from Tansac and React query. Nice. And then we have a function. This query function will be obviously be what you're passing in, right? So this is our API client. Remember, our API client is just somewhere around here. I don't think we could have it here. I could just take it out. We could just put it here, and then we'll do API client. Right? It doesn't make sense being a separate file. Okay, so we could do this, and wherever we're using it, we'll just make sure that we are, hopefully using it correctly, right? So we have to change wherever we are having this import seems to be incorrect, and we have to make sure that whatever we are doing here is just a default export, and so we'll change everything to like this. Yeah, so that should be straightforward. Yeah, let's go here. Okay, @/scanner. Okay, to nationalize here we have the API, and oh, okay, all right. So slash API. Okay, so I think that should do it for the most part. Nice. Okay, here let's see what we have. Good. Contest, they are good. I think they are all synced now. So now the use query takes in two things, right? So we have the query function and we have the query key. So these are very important. So the query function is obviously the kind of how you're fetching your request, or you can use fetch, you can use Axios, whatever. But luckily for us, we've already set up the API client to be able to wrap around all those implementation and so on. So we can just use the sync, then we wait for the API client to get, then we'll pass in the route. So the key on the other end, I'm actually a great supporter of putting all your keys in one place, right? So all your query keys needs to be in one place so you can be able to control them. You don't have conflicting keys and so on, right? So that's what we are doing here. It's actually a very small dictionary object, and this object basically just have different keys, right? So you can pass, if you want to add a new one, you can just do xsx, then you put it like so, right? So that's very straightforward. Okay, let's go back. So what we are doing here, we are fetching the data. So this basically, you have access to the data, at the same time you have access to this loading, right? So if there's an error, is error, and so on. So you have access to all of this, which is very cool. You don't have to do them yourself. Nice. So, and one other thing I feel it's very important is the way you wrap it around your responses. Although the best thing to show you like this is that every of the API requests I'm consuming, this varies depending on how your API structure is actually layered. So we have the API response. I'm using generic here to pass in the type I want to expect as a result. Most listing endpoint is just a list of objects for the most part, right? Which is like an array of objects, right? So if we pass in generic key, that means any type we are passing in here can automatically be, the type of the result set, right? So I hope that makes sense. But I'll show you how this works later. It shouldn't be a big deal. And this is how we're doing it for every API response, every API call that we make for any listing endpoint. We kind of have this structure. We have the sources, message, data, and so on. So data takes in the match size, the result size, as well as the result set. So I'm going to show you where we're using this quickly, so it's easy for you guys to comprehend. Let's take that off. Okay, so here we're actually fetching a list of contests. So here, this we are doing this on this page, And here we can see what we are doing. We're fetching this, and now I want my data to be of this type I context. You can see the way I'm doing, passing it, the generic value inside of this particular interface. And when I override data, it's going to be of this type. Fantastic. Fantastic. So that I can be able to use it, in a much more proper manner. So now I want to explain to you why we're using React Query in the first place. We're using React Query in the first place to basically cache our responses. If you notice, if I refresh this page right now, everything's going to load. You can see everything's loading again from the very beginning, right? And if I go to users and I go back to context, nothing happens. No API call is being fetched, but what is being done is that we are serving from our cached value, right, that we did before, right? So if I go to dashboard, looks good, context looks good, because nothing has been fetched again. You still have access to the cache response, right? I hope that makes sense if I could show you that. So this is exactly how you go about it. No API call is being made until maybe you refresh it, and then you have to get fresh data over again. I hope that makes sense, right? So now I want to actually show you how this works in action. So first of all, we can actually build out, component ourselves, right? So let's build out this component ourselves and go over it like that. So we want to consume a very basic endpoint. We're going to refresh that quickly. And we want to work on this create contest. So I click on create contest. I want to build out this form so we can be able to add, new contest into, into this side of things. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna wait for it to load. Nice. All right, so this is the model that we are having for create context. So we're going to build this together, I think. And the way we go about this is we need the name and description, then we need the header. So let's build this right there together so that we can, can see the magic of React Query. All right, so let's search for either. There we go. And what we want to do, we need this text. Okay. So we need this lets you guy here as well. So here it has a size semi-bold and size is 24. And then we can just do font semi-bold text 24 pixel. And this on the other end, we use this color. Let's see if we already have it defined somewhere else. No, we don't. Sorry about that. So class name, we want to be text, and the text is going to have that color. And the distance between here and here is obviously 8. So we could do MC2, which will be 8 pixel by default. Alright, so and also just make sure that they have the middle text center. The same thing should apply here. Let's check it out again. Create context, and then we have our let's you guy. Nice. Okay, so the next thing is we want to build out this input. Okay, this input, and yeah, so let's do that. Okay, so we already have our own generic input on how we're going about it and stuff like that. So you could actually use here, you could use any form processors like Formic or or React Hook forms or whatever you want to use. But this is actually a very basic project, so I won't bother to set those up. But then those are actually options to consider in a real world application. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we need a way to be able to pass this in, right? So I'm going to pin this. We've already been using input in lots of places. I'm going to search for this. Okay, so we have something like this. Put it here. So we need to import the input from UI input, and then we can actually just call this name. So we have this to be called contest name, and the placeholder should just be, oh, this is the place, sorry, yeah, so the placeholder should be enter, I think that was wrong on subject, enter contest name. Okay, all right, so we basically need to set up some states for this to manage it at the top level, which is fine. Okay, okay, so we have a set contest name, the other one is set description. Okay, so the other one that we'll be having will be the start date and the end date. Okay, so by default we have the current date, and then so that's the start. Okay, this needs to be corrected. So the next one is the end date. It's an end date. Okay. And lastly, the last thing we'll have to manage is this one. This is going to be a different component, by the way, but it's fine. So this one, and we're going to put in here, and we're just going to call that the upload. Okay, so let's call that my URL set. Yeah, we'll have to set the banner. We'll set the banner URL like that. So yeah, these are all the states that we'll be managing. We have to focus on how we can go about all of this, right now. Okay, so we can go over to Shadcn. Let's look for a date component. I don't think we have one, but let's check it out. This data, this date picker, boom, nice. So we need this guy. So if I click on this, we'll be able to pick date. So I just need a simple date like this. Okay, so how do I set this up? Okay. Okay, so they need a combination of popover and the calendar. Okay, so we have to install both right away. Okay, so we'll grab this guy. So let's make a duplicate of this terminal instance. So let's install the popover, and the other one will be the calendar. Okay, so while that is installing, we can also install, create a new instance and paste in. I must copy this correctly. Okay, so we basically have two things installing. So yeah, so just wait for them to finish off. I think it's going to be straightforward. And while we're waiting, we can just easily go ahead, and start working with it already. Okay. Okay, so ideally, what you could always do is that when you see things like this, you want to build it into some sort of reusable component so that you can have your own generic date picker within your application. And yeah, that for you should just be straightforward. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab the entire code here. Okay, and we're just going to put it here somewhere. Okay, so we're gonna put this here. Okay, so you grab this, you can put it here, not a big deal. And set it, so forget about this. We need all of this, I think, and we can put it right in here. And do not forget, it's actually a client component. You are, interfacing with hooks, so you have to, mark it as a use client component. And also we'll grab all of these guys, so we can close this out by we could have our own div here. All right, so here we need the label somehow. Okay, so the label here will be something we already have, I think. Here, so my piece is running slow quickly. Need to clear some of the data that we're having. All right, that should be good now. All right, so yeah, we have the context name. This will be set context name. Nice. This one on the other end will be start date, set start date. So pick a start date. Okay, something like that. And let's see. First of all, let's see if they're done installing. Calendar is already installed. All right. Okay. All right, so now let's click on here, and then we have a pick state. So good, you can see we have our thing coming up as expected. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we notice that start date and end date are they're siblings, they're on the same row. So that's okay. So we could create a div here, an enclosing container. It's going to be 2. So this first part of things will be inside, and we can do the other one, the second one. So pick the end date. So start date here, we'll just name that to the end date, and this will be start set end date. So we can then flexify this, flex justify between, grab it. Okay, let's see what we have so far. So you can see there's a problem, right? So in as much as they're both in the same row, but the problem with it is that they're not covering this space, which is not a good thing. So the easy fix for that, before we even attempt that easy fix, let's over this is complaining. Okay, so on select start date. Oh, okay. So from what I could see from the date speaker, here we just do date like this. So we could just do the same thing. In our case, shouldn't be a big deal. The same thing here. I think I should stop complaining now. Still complaining. No, I'm not complaining. Okay, all right. I think that's fine. That works. And we want to make sure that we change the title. This will be started. The other one would be ended. Okay, let's go over that. Okay, so context name. Sorry. Then we have the description. Okay. So enter description right here, and now we will just put description. So this will be set description. All right. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, alternative way to basically handle all of this, which I think is always very straightforward, we just been using React, use React Hook or React Hook forms or Formic or whatever you want to use. That's how you do it to save you the stress of doing all of this. Okay. So this one will be start date. This one will be end date. Okay. So okay, date. Did you mean date? Okay. So now we have to fix this. So here we have start date, and here we have the end date. But that should be perfect. Okay, but still not perfect because we still need to figure out how we want to do this. So since we are flexing it, the key thing that we do is to make it grow, right? So just do flex grow here, right? And at the same time, we want to flex grow the other child element. So if we do that now, you are going to see both of them, come into the picture correctly, right? So we don't want to set the width. I think the width has been constricted, so let's remove the width of those input. So let's see. If you're doing the width of 200, you can just take that off. I think the width is going to be full by default. Okay, so taking that off now, and okay, so let's do full here. Okay, the same thing should apply to to this as well. So this should be with full. Right. So boom, there we go. You can see it's already filled up, right? So this is exactly how you can play around with all of this setup, and yeah, it should be good. Okay. And one other thing I think is very important. So when you're doing clicking on something, this should go off by default, right? So I think we have to fix that. So let's go through here. Okay, so we need a way to be able to close out the trigger, right? So okay, so I think we actually have a different field here. I'm going to just search around for it and come back in a bit. Okay, so I think we're back again, and we've been able to control it. So when you click on here, you can be able to select, maybe for example, select 12, it goes away, right? Select for 10, it goes away. So the end did the same thing applies, select like 8 and so on. You can be able to control like so. And this is good, right? So at every point in time, I want to make sure that the start date is not, is actually of the future, and the end date should be greater than the start date, right? So this is something I want to do now, and I've actually added here a function to check if the second date, which is effectively the end date, is greater than the start date. So we're going to be using this function, which is so cool, and I'm just going to do, so that means at the end of the day we need like a submit button to be able to submit all of these things. So now let's add the main button text. So let's go check design again. What do we have there? Okay, so we have like next step or something, cancel, next step. So we have 2 buttons here. So let's try to build them out. Let's create this next step first. Well, there's actually no next step. I think here should just be 1 button. The design is off a bit. Okay, that's understandable. This should just be create actually. Create contest. Context. It's completely straightforward. So when you're done creating, that should be it. They don't have any next step to take or anything like that. It's quite just straightforward. So when you're done creating, we're just going to take them to to this page, which we've not created yet. But then it's completely straightforward. So let's build out this one. So what we have there is create contest. You can do here and call it create contest. Okay. And with, okay, I thought the width fixing, let's see the type. Okay. I used to have a full width thing. Let's see. Yeah, width full width. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's full width. Control it. Okay, the height here actually is 55. Okay, let's add it to the class name. Height 55 pixel. Over each. Gives a 55. That's good. Good boy. Okay, so we're using a very consistent coloring. Don't mind the design. Some colors are not consistent, but then we'll just fix, go with something that works. Okay, so when we click on that, we want to undo the submission, right? So but then before we undo submit, we're just going to create a function. Let's call this undo submit. So we want to run all our checks, right? So all our checks are going to be included here. And the way we go about this is we want to check the things that we're having. So if we don't have like a context name, or we don't have a description, or we don't have a start date, sorry, we don't have a start date, or we don't have an end date, or we don't have a banner URL. So we want to make sure that we use the toast. Let's grab it from one of those that we are having so far. So I want to grab the toast. This is the structive one, outfit required and stuff like that. So all fields are required. Okay, that's good. And the other check will be, we want to make sure that the end date is greater than the start date, right? So we have to make sure we're importing toast, by the way. So you go in here and then import that. So if is second date greater, so we need to pass in the first date, which is this guy, and then the end date. So if it is not greater, okay, so we can do here now that end date must be greater than start date. Okay, so don't worry, we have to make sure that we're importing this. It's already imported. We have the start date. Okay, that's actually a date as dates, by the way, or a string. Okay, why is it complaining? So we need string. Okay, that's a string. Yeah. So what we can do, we just do that to make sure that it always has a value before we pass it in. But let's see. That's where the bit, hold. Okay. Argument of type div is not assignable to parameter of type string. Okay, let's do string. Let's try this out. That should work. So over this string undefined is not parameter type string. No, it will always be a string, so we could pass that in there so that we're always expecting something. Alright, so the same thing here, so we could just copy that and we'll pass that in as strings. I think that should fix it. And yeah, that's good. But one more thing is that we want to make sure that the start date is actually greater than today. Yeah, so we want to check that the start date is greater. We don't want them imputing, date of the past, right? So I think there could actually just be a way for us to pass it in the calendar. So let's look for the props. Okay, set outside this. Okay, so we have a couple of props here from Shadcn. We have show outside days, show the outside days, and also there's a day following the next all the previous month. That's weird, but let's check it out. I'm just curious what that does, if it's what I'm thinking. So let's do it for start date to check. Okay, this is September here. Let's refresh it. Okay. Yeah, we still have the previous. No, that's not the behavior. We want to look for a way to disable previous date in the calendar element. Okay, sorry, let's go back. There we go. Okay, so this date picker is from React date picker. Okay, so maybe we can just investigate more on this. So React date picker disable previous date. That should be straightforward. I think you should just use disable days prop. I see. Oh, nice. This is something I'm looking for. Let's give it a like right there quickly. And yeah, so any day that is not greater than today, there's no point showing those, right? So I'm just going to go over here and put this in here. So today is going to be new date, and disable date is any day that is actually before today will be disabled. So let's go into each of them. So the first one is this guy, and the second one is this guy. Okay, so now let's check it out. I think I will have to refresh it for us to have the new entries. Okay, it is not disabled. I can still select previous date. Nah, that's not good. No, that's not good. It's not working. I'm taking back my like. All right. Okay, so let's see on the change. How do I do this in this case? They pick up props. Let's check this out. Okay, disable this. Okay. This is what I did before, isn't it? Oh, it doesn't. It's complaining. Uh, the disabled does not exist on type intrinsic attribute. Did you mean disabled? That's tricky. That's calendar. Tell me it doesn't exist. Let's try disabled. How does disabled work? Let's open it up. Oh, it's taking the interface from matcha. What is matcha, by the way? Oh, it takes in date. It takes in after, before, and a couple of other things. Oh, that is it. That is what we're looking for. So that disabled right there, and it just called me disabled. Okay, so I spend my entire time just wasting off of Google. All right, so let's try it again. Oh, it's not disabled, so all the previous dates are not disabled. Nice. Previous dates are not disabled, so we have like new date and so on. Right, so let's say start date is 28, and we do contest. And what I'm going to do, let me do action and do submit. Okay, let's go. Okay, so end date must be greater than start date, so you can see. All right, so all fields are required. You have to make sure that you put in all your fields and stuff like that. Fields are required. We have the banner URL, which we are missing, which is a good thing. And we have to be able to build this component and upload it. What I do nowadays, I don't really spend much time building this out, but what I can just do, we can just either build it from scratch, which is understandable. We can just feed it to to GPT basically. But for now, let's keep it. Let's build it from scratch, please. Right? We shouldn't be using AI for everything. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do. We're going to build this little component, tap to upload and stuff like that. So this is going to be our little upload endpoint, upload component, and it's going to be calling quite a few other things. So we want to come into a section, right? So we go to, let's minimize that, into source, go to component, go to sections. We have lots of sections, landing page, but this one is on the dashboard actually. Let's create a new folder. So this will be the dashboard, and what we're going to have here will just be upload section. Okay, so let's create a boilerplate right there. Okay, still loading up. All right, there we go. This upload section, good. And we're going to be able to have pass in the set banner URL, and this is going to be a function that passing a value of type string, and it can be a void. It doesn't do anything actually, obviously. And yeah, basically. Okay, so we're going to do const. Okay, before we do const, let's create a layout. So we have a div, we have two divs, 1, 2. So this one has the main button. So the text on this one is actual upload. So the width here, let's check this out. The width here is 81. So the width will be 81 pixel. Not bad. And now we need this guy. Let's see, this should be an SVG right here. And we can just copy SVG and create a div right here and paste it in there. If it's just a very small SVG, you can take the X-mins out. Okay, and do not forget, we have to convert this to actual React. Okay, And that's first one. Second one will basically have like the text. This one is actually tap to upload. Then we have all of this text in here. So put it there, and let's make sure that this is having the actual color. Okay, and then we have the font medium. Okay, so this on the other end has a star. Okay, so text there is like 11. Okay, so this upload section is what we put into this. We put it into that, and then we want to also make sure that we're using the same div classes right there. Set banner URL is equal to set banner URL. Okay, so let's go to quick contest. Boom, there we go. It's coming in as expected. We have to make sure that everything within this section is overable. Okay, over cursor pointer. Let's justify between. Okay, so this is what we're doing now, and you can see the width is not, is not going through as expected. That's because we have to explicitly state that the width is full right there. Okay, that's that. And let's see, are we missing anything? We have some border, we have some background color as well. So fill, or we have some stroke, right? So we have border dotted border passing the actual color right there. Okay, so now we have to give it some padding. So top is like 20, left is like 16. All right. Okay, so let's do py 20 pixel px4. Okay, so let's see. All right, nice. And one other thing I think is missing will be the height of this button. Yeah, so the height here is like 36. Okay, nice. So this is upload. Oh, we already have a button to upload it, so we don't need to make the entire thing overable. So we can move this class from there. I'll just bring about a better UX. Okay, so we want to be able to keep track of of the state and so on if it's done successful, right? So I think we have one cool thing on the design that I saw. Let's scroll down a bit. Once it's no, we won't make it too complex. Yeah, once something is done uploading, we're just going to have something that looks like this. So this is a separate component that shows that shows all of these things. Shows the date. No, I don't think we need the date, but we don't need the file name as well as the size of the file, right? So file name and file size basically. Okay. Okay, so here we can control with the state. So you can do file name. So set file name empty. So if there's a file name, we want to make sure that we remove this, right? So we can now do, so file name will just be upload successful. S is going to be tap to upload. Okay. So if there's file name, we need to know like the file size, right? So let's go to new state, file size, set file size. So if file size is here, or if there's file name or whatever like that, we're going to okay. All right, so I think this is good. Are we missing something? Yes, we are. Okay, so if there's file name, we want to make sure that what we're having here is obviously something like the file name itself, plus the extension, I think. Okay, so the file name, we have a little pipe, and then we have the file size, like this. So we have the file name, we have the file size, which is okay, right? And also we need to bring this SVG in. All right, so let's copy SVG, and we're just going to paste it in here. So this will be fill row. Clip row, and so on. And so there's a file name. Oh, okay. Oh, now the thing actually is, it might not have, uploaded. Don't worry about it. You know how to fix that. So now let's do file name. This file name will show them this guy. Else we give them this guy. Okay, nice. And then I think on the other part, instead of having upload, we're going to have this trash can. Okay. Okay, so instead of this button, we're going to have trash can right there. Okay, so fill. All right. So fill row and then the clip row. Okay. Nice. And also I have to make sure that the item center right there. Okay, nice. I think we already have it all settled out. And I will need to add a bit of a utility function, clear file. So what we're going to do, we're just going to set file to, okay, so we need some sort of loading state as well. Okay, so uploading. So by default it's going to be false. And here we can set up loading to false. Set file name to that, set file size. See that. So this is what we are doing, using to clear the file. And this will be pointing directly to this icon. So I'll click. Okay. So when you hover, you want to change the cursor to pointer as well. Alright, nice. Okay. So you want to set the file size. Sorry, that doesn't have a cost signature. That's correct. Okay. So we need another function. Undo upload. Undo upload is going to be targeting the upload endpoint, right? And yeah, pretty straightforward. We're going to be using is going to be asynchronous. So yeah, I think this will be the first endpoint that we'll consume. And the way we're going to go about this is we need to set the form data. Set form data. Okay. So the thing is, when we let's do new form data first. New form data, like so. And we need to be able to set like an input, and then we hide it. Yeah, and then we basically hide it up, basically. All right. So, but then I think before we do that, we need a way to consume it, and the way we go about that is by using React query. All right. So I'm just going to go to app dashboard contrast page. So I could grab one of those cores like so. Grab it here and use query. Could actually just be outside, right? So we don't want this to be out. It's actually a core, right? So we don't need to even use query for cases like this. It's an actual post, so we can take that off. But if you want, you can still do it if you want to. Right, but then just note that you can't actually use a hook inside of not outside the scope of the function itself. Okay, so before I do that, I need to set up something. We need to confirm that something works. Moment please. Okay, so there we go. So we've been able to achieve this quickly. So what I've done is to just make a few things, a few adjustments, and it's really straightforward, right? So if you take a look at this, what we are doing here is that we're tracking the file change. First of all, what we did was to make sure that we had an hidden input, file input, and this input is tied to a file input ref, which I stated here. And this file input ref will be responsible so that whenever I click on it, it should open the input as normal, right? So in this button later down the line, there's actually a file input ref dot current. We want to obviously click it, right? So I have object is possibly null. Let's see, let's make that optional. Alright, let's check that out. Let's see why it's still complaining. make that optional. Okay, so click does not exist on type never. Okay, seems to be still loading though. A little bit slow, I would say. Okay. What about it? How does that even work? Okay, there will always be a click, by the way, but I don't know why it's complaining like that. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. And let's put it inside. So that means click must contain something first. Okay, current. Doesn't let them type never. Yeah, current is never for some reason. Okay. Alright, let's just bypass that for now. I'll worry about it later. Yeah, so ideally we should have something that looks like that. Right, so let's try it out again. Create contest, upload. Okay, it opens up, then you can basically like click on it and open. Then boom, we have this kind of setup, right? So if you click on here, it's going to remove it. We'll use this to basically upload. So this is good, good, not a problem. The next thing will be, we want to be able to perform form submission, right? You want to upload, immediately you change the file. And the way we go about that is we're going to obviously make this an async function. Right, so we're going to just await it. Let's bring all of this here actually. I can remove this one. Okay. So we have API client dot post upload. Okay, so we have the resources. So yeah, let's go to the docs and let's look for upload. So we have an upload endpoint, which is this one. And this upload endpoint will actually just be responsible to create a media, right? So this is pointing to /media /v1 /create media, right? So this is the route, that's the first thing. And then the data that we want to pass in there will be the form data. And what else? Yeah, majorly. So then we should have a couple of 10. Okay, so that then should actually be pointing to log. We need the response from here. So if we're catching it, we need to still account for that as well. Error. Well, we just want to set this one to false if there's any error. If it's successful, we want to make sure putting set to false as well. And if there's any error, let's log the error. Good. I think this is it. Let's test this out if it actually works. Right. So let's test it out. So let's refresh that. Let's keep our tab open. Okay, so we're fetching fresh content. Let's upload an image like this. Okay, not found. Good, good, good. Okay, so there's dash dash in the media, so let's remove that. And we remove it like so by taking this out. And the payload is actually form data, but it wasn't taking the 5 though, but we'll see, we'll see. Okay, so let's do upload again. Let's remove this so it doesn't confuse us. Let's do this again. Okay, error passing the body. So that's response. So because there's no payload, payload is just empty. So let's worry about why our payload is empty. Oh, okay, yeah. This is just a fresh form data. We have to append to it. So currently we have files, right? So this is the name. So what you could do now is you could just come over here and you just want to do form data to append. The name is files, and the file you want to pass in there is the actual file itself, like so. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, an argument value was not provided, still loading. Okay, that should be fine. Refresh it again. Okay, let's go. Let's try to upload. But this is weird. This is weird. Like, why do we have tap to upload at the same time we have the upload button? Do they all do the same thing? Yes, I think they all do the same thing actually. Don't worry, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's go again like so. Okay, so we are appending this. It's processing actually. So I click on this. Oh, the file has been sent now. You can see the binary file has been sent. And voila, we have a response, right? So you have a response created successfully, and it's pointing to this Cloudinary link. Let's go over to that Cloudinary link. Okay, so I think this is it. This was the image we obviously uploaded, which is fantastic, right? We're not optimizing or doing any crazy stuff for now, but it's fine. Okay, so what we know so far is that we can upload and we can get the response, right? So we have the data, we have the message, not really. We have the data, we have the media, and so on, right? So we could just grab all of this and use it if we want to, right? So oh, this is actually very much different. Okay, so I'll just consume this correctly as data dot the media dot the first item dot the media URL. Okay, so this will be here already. So this is the data, the media dot the first item, the media underscore URL. Let's go. Let me use the media URL to prevent confusion. So we have response, the data, the media, the first item. That's media URL. So this is what we'll now set our banner into. We set banner URL to this thing, to this media URL. So ideally on the next upload, we want to make sure that what we're getting from the media URL is the correct thing. Alright, so then we can remove this, upload it, and let's look for a very low quality image like this one. Okay, let's go. Console again. This is successful. You can see we have the link. Boom, that's all we need. right? So with that, we can be able to successfully create contest, right? And then we just have to create contest like this, we put in the name and so on. So then we are going to call it, right? So you can remove all of this too, remove this as well, not a problem. But if it fails to upload though, we want to put in a toast here that shows that it has failed to upload basically. Right, so let's bring a toast. Yeah, there's a toast there. Okay, we have upload failed. No to upload the image, try again. Something like that, yeah. And then don't forget to import toast. And yeah, in case it fails, we have this smooth error message. If it doesn't fail, we don't really care much, right? So we don't even tell them if it's uploading. I think it's a good thing because we don't need to worry, let them worry about that state. Okay, so set is uploading to true. Okay, so I don't think we need it anymore. I can just take it out actually. Okay, so very good. So that's what the upload component is. And now we already have it straightforward right here. Shouldn't be a problem here. So the next thing would be a setup, right? Setup. Oh, come to think of it, sometimes uploading takes time, right? I think it's a good thing to have. Yeah, uploading takes time sometimes. So the upload button we have is loading. Okay, yeah, so it's uploading. That would be this loading status. And one other thing I would do is I wouldn't want to at the beginning just set the file name, right? We don't need to set the file name, but what we can do is that if it is later successful, like this is successful, we can now set the file name. Yeah, I think that works. That makes it even better. So what this means is that whenever I click on upload and I tend to upload image, a larger image like this, it's going to just start uploading though. Oh, it's not because we're not setting this to true anyway. So we set it to true here. Okay, so set this to the true there, and then let's go. Let's have it. We set it to true, but it's not coming up. Set is uploading to true. So clarify, set it to false. Set is uploading to true at this stage. Maybe we should refresh it. Yeah, I think so. It's not having the up-to-date changes. So let's go again. Oh, there we go. You can see it's now uploading. We don't need this kind of text. We just do the upload text thing. Loading, data loading text, just like width. Let's remove this, upload again, and there we go. Okay, you uploading on the background? I think it is. I didn't. Let's go again. Let's put this here and put that there. Oh wait, you can see now it's uploading. When it's uploaded, we have it here. Nice. I think that gives a better clarity. Or anything you want to upload. Okay, so instead of tap to upload, we'll just change it to tap the upload button to upload. Right, I think that's better. Tap the upload button, tap the upload button, tap the upload button. Okay, nice. Okay, I think that we should be good. We should be good for the most part. Maybe you do this and you click on cancel, right? And that's okay. Yeah, sometimes we are not able to send in an appropriate file. All right, so we need to write a check to prevent issues like this. So what we can do is that if there is no file here, just return it. So if there's file, do this. So if there's no file, just return. Yeah, that will save us lots and lots of headache, right? So, but if there is file, do your thing. Okay, nice. I think we have a very good setup already. And the next thing is we want to be able to create a, call a different endpoint. And that is actually the create contest endpoint, right? So I think I already got some of the fields that's needed. We just need a name, the theme, which is the description, and the banner ID or URL ID, as the case may be. Oh, okay. So that basically means that I don't really care much about the URL, but then I care much about the ID, right? The banner ID. Okay, so this is something I would do. Let's check the response in our create media. So this media ID is what I'm interested in, not the URL ID. Okay, not really banner URL. Okay, so let's go. Okay, set banner. That should be set banner ID. Going in here. Set banner ID. So let's remove query from here. And now what you are setting with the ID will now be this, right? So that's the media ID. Yeah, so let's not confuse it. I think that works now. And if I go back, I have access to this banner ID already right here. So this banner URL will just be banner ID. All right, so I think the next thing is we need to, to basically call the endpoint to create that task, right? So from here we could see that the endpoint we're using is v1 slash not v1 slash remedia, but v1 slash contest. Okay, all right, so let's do that, and we're going to obviously do this now. Okay, so let's grab one of these endpoints that we're having. Okay, this is actually a post. So we have v1 slash contest. So the data that we want to pass in is this guy. So we could just pass that in. And we have our then block. And then we have the catch. Okay, so if it's successful, this is what we already do, right? So if it fails, first of all, we want to, okay, so we could just do context creation failed. unable to create contest. So we don't really care more about the error message, right? And here on the other end, we need, let's import this API client and make this asynchronous, right? So this is the tools, and then return. Don't forget that. It's very important. Okay, so we have the API client, which I think is already imported by now. Okay, and then we have this, right? So the name will just be the context name. Its name will be the description. The banner ID will be the banner ID. The start date will be the start date. So the end date will obviously just be the end date. Okay. Alright, so if it's successful, what we want to do is to, first of all, we want to be able to refetch the context again, but at the same time, we want to show a success response, right? So do here and do contest created successfully. So we forgot about the variant. All right, they want to validate a query by the key, right? So let's quickly search how we can do that. It's very easy with React query. And validate a query like that. Nice. So we have the query invalidation. Okay. So yeah, so this is something I think we can use easily, right? So you can use this one to just invalidate, a query quickly. And we should be good, right? So this should be fine. Okay, so we'll put here. So we have to make sure that we can import the query client. Click on from transact query. Oh no, we need an instantiated query client. Are they importing it? Okay, use query client. Oh, I see. All right, let's put that there. Let's put here somewhere at the top. So let's make sure that we're importing the right thing. So let's click, yeah, invalidate queries. Add query keys. Context, right? So let's invalidate the context key. That will make it to refetch the context, right? So yeah, that should be straightforward. All right, so I think we are doing good. What other thing are we having? Okay, query key. Oh, it needs to take in an array, isn't it? Yes, it should. Okay, nice. All right, let's try it out. All right, so let's do James onboarding. Enter the contest. Test final contest. So start date is going to be 8 and end date is going to be 11th. And let's upload our avatar. Let it just be this guy. Okay, so we're going to upload. We don't have it here. That's a field that require. You have to wait. So you basically still need to wait. Okay, so it's uploading. Nice, we have it now. So we can choose to create a contest now, but I will not. Why? Because we need to be able to put in here a loading state. Right, so let's do const loading, set loading. So default is going to be false, and once we get here, we're going to set loading to true, and here, by the way, we can just set it to false if it's successful. We'll set it to false again if it fails. Okay, yeah, something like that. So what this implies is that I can go in here and add this loading attribute here. Nice. Okay. Oh, we basically have to restart it. Damn it. Okay, so let's see if we could randomly create. That's not good. To do a contest. So let's upload. Okay, so let's create it. Okay, so we have contest creation field. Let's investigate why that is failing. Oh, right, I'm not the admin. Okay, so no problem. So I want to go through the backend now and make myself an admin, and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't able to get a hold of the account owner. But then I think you guys get a point, right? So we've been able to pass in the appropriate banner ID. We have the contest period all set correctly. And then we have the end, we have the start, then we have the name, and then we have the theme. So everything is actually, well validated. So you can go to the client, and if you enter something like rough like this, and we pick a start date of that and this, and it's not going to work. So all fields are required. You have to fill the description, you do it again, you have to make sure that you upload something, right? So just going to go in there and try to upload one of those images, and going to ask it to wait. If you try to click on contest while it's waiting, it doesn't make sense, right? So it's not going to go through because it tells you that the end date should not be greater than the start date, right? So you have to refine that and do this one, and let's put this here, right? So yeah, you can now create a contest, and you won't be able to create because I don't have the permission. I'm not the admin of this account, so I can't access it. But then I think you guys get the point. And one of the additional thing I added was that whenever it's successful, we invalidate the query for contest. And what this does is it's going to fetch contest automatically, and we're going to set the downloading to false, and we want to set this to display, and then we want to close out this modal, right? So that means this modal will close up, and then we're going to have the fresh data added on here, right? I hope that makes sense, right? So I think that's basically it. I've been able to touch base on the critical factor on how you can use React Query for fetching for the most part. But if you're doing like posts and whatever, you can just set up your own service handler, which you can use to to do it automatically, right? So this still works, but then you could actually use query to basically post as well. Let's say using React Query to post. All right, so yeah, very straightforward. There are lots and lots of articles online you can search, but it's particularly easy. So if you're using hook form, it's, as I said at the beginning of this lesson, it makes form processing very easy. You don't need to worry about the extra overhead and so on. And now I want to show you something regarding the post. Since I'm not using it in this project, but then I can use something like this. So this is an example of posting, right? So when you're posting, you want to create an employee, you can use the use mutation hook, and then you can go over it like that, right? So that's something you can use. Let's search for it here, and you can see we create employee. You pass in the data that you want to pass in. It's taking in mutate, and it's loading. So let's look for where we're using in mutate. So let's go and search for it. There we go. You can see here, you're just passing the function. We're using this mutate inside of a function, then passing the data, and it's going to do all this for you. Pretty straightforward, right? So you could either, in this case, I'm just using the API client directly, but you could use it this way. So that way you don't need to worry about it, managing the loading state or the error state manually yourself. But then you could just rely on the is loading or the actual data coming in from the use mutation hook, from React query.